Good morning, and welcome to the 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery webinar. My name is Michael Bailey, and today we're going to continue where we left off 2 weeks ago. And so I'm going to just go ahead and start right in here. Thank you for joining us for a more in-depth discussion of the 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery and how they can be used to create true joy, happiness, true deep inner peace, personal prosperity, both emotional and financial. Part of the process of spiritual integration of our higher selves for the expansion of our consciousness, which is also called enlightenment, involves reprogramming the way we think. Our thoughts create our reality and both our internal and external life experiences. The 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery, when embodied and lived, will help to change our thought patterns, thoughts that we simply take for granted because they are part of our programming, our life experiences beginning before birth, and our unique perspective on our hologram, or our external world. The changing of thought patterns actually changes the programming in our physical body and DNA. The 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery are crucial to understanding what kinds of choices lead to what kind of outcomes, and provide guidelines regarding choices that lead toward oneness, and the freedom from limitation, separation, and lack, including financial freedom, that are associated with true personal mastery. Now, before we start, I just want to welcome everybody here. We've got quite a few people here today. Anybody want to say hello?
Hey, Michael.
Good morning, Kelly.
Hello, hello.
Good morning. Anybody who's while I'm reading, so we don't have any echo, if you can either mute your phone or mute your mic, just click on the mic, and I'll stop periodically and ask for questions and comments. So before we get started, do we have any questions or comments? Okay. Welcome, Dennis and Kelly. I'm really happy to see you here today. 2 weeks ago, we left off with appreciation, and we were talking about a race called the Adonai. This is a race that exists in a black hole matrix, which means that they have a finite existence. They're not eternal. And so they have developed an appreciation for art, music, literature, and all kinds of things because they have them in limited supply. And they've just been given as an example. So we'll continue here with appreciating the lesson. And just for those of you who don't know, the Iani are a group. They're more extra-dimensional than they are extraterrestrial. They are basically the future us, because they exist in what we would perceive as the future. The Ayani look at us with great humor and respect because we are the part of the consciousness that came down into the densities and took on the mutations. So there's a huge amount of respect from the Ayani toward us, speaking about us here on Earth. The Ayani represent our future selves. They look at us as the courageous parts of themselves that chose to go into the direct line of fire and take on the greatest risks. That is why they are so committed to helping us out. Get out. We came into this with love and the total knowing that life is eternal. The human collective, the Ayani collectives, the indigo collectives, had enough faith in themselves. They knew they could come in and take on the worst of it, and they knew that some would fall. However, they knew it was worth it. They knew that they had the power to reawaken and to heal it. Only then, if they took on the mutation and healed it within themselves, would they understand it enough to be able to go out and try to heal anything remaining from other fallen matrices that might be able to be healed. They also needed to understand how beings could act the way they did, how things could be violent towards each other, because that was a foreign condition to angelic humans and indigos. I know when I was a child, this was a paradox for me. I could not understand how my parents, one minute could be so loving, and the next minute my father was beating my mother and holding her up against the wall. It just perplexed me. I really couldn't understand it. So there is a lesson that we all agreed we needed to learn, because we just did not understand what fallen consciousness was or what it meant. In learning this lesson, we can arrive at a point where we can say, I remember when the DNA was shut off and I was walking around in a hologram filled with all kinds of distorted energies that was coming out in emotions and stuff that I didn't even know they were there. Now we know. We need to get over that hump and get back into that center of power that was always the human condition. That is when we begin to appreciate the lesson and are able to use it practically. That is the point in our evolution where we are at now. It is time to wake up so we can understand how we got ourselves into this in the first place. Something to ponder. Spend some time finding something to appreciate in all that you see and do. Tell someone that you don't know how much you appreciate what they do. Some LTR statements, which are linguistic template reprogramming statements. They're spoken affirmations. I am truly blessed. I give thanks now for all the gifts I receive daily. Patience. God's source has its own schedule. And if that is not right now, there is a very good reason for this. If time does not cooperate with your expectations, you can let that be okay and learn to trust in divine right timing. The Guardian Alliance, which is the group of beings that bring us these teachings, do not share our limitations on time, meaning they don't perceive time as being linear. For them, all time is now. That's a difficult concept, but so if there is something that needs to be shared but is under wraps, they will give it to Speaker One, who's the person that brings these through, at the very last possible minute, more often than not delaying the start of a potential workshop. As a result, the ending time is pushed up. We have come to cooperate, and this is lovingly appreciated by Speaker One and all who work with her, in this flow of work by our understanding and patience. I'm glad that most of you that know us are patient and have adapted well to Guardian Time. Guardian Time is interesting. There are many lessons to the workshops, and many are what people learn from being with each other in these workshops. There are lessons we learn about reacting to things. Everything from workshops being at a different time than you thought, to dinners not being how you ordered them when you got your package. All of these are actually a form of training for what we are all here for in the first place. You think we are going to get far if we whine about the menu when we get to the stargates? We have been taught to be hyperactive, reactionary, and very demanding in certain ways emotionally. We feel insecure if things do not go exactly the way they are supposed to. It is a way of dealing with the insecurity we feel inside. We all start from a place of insecurity here, because deep down in our souls, we know what we walked into. You may not remember it consciously, but in time, that's something you'll come to realize. We know what we birthed into down here on Earth. We knew it was a sort of prison camp, and we knew we came in as the ones to help set it free. There comes a time when you realize that you came from somewhere else. After that, the homesickness, well, it can be awful. Many of us went through a lot in our early years just being horridly homesick. It was everything to it was everything to do with going home to our people, the Christos people, because there is a place of love. Excuse me. The systems there are not built on anti-Christic principles like they are here. For example, competition, supply and demand competition. It is peaceful there, because when people work in competition, there are always winners. Everything is always a win-win. We have to relearn what it means to be Christic beings, to remember what it means to get everything we need vertically. And that means without going horizontally, which means asking others or seeking approval from authority figures. Going vertical means going up basically and getting the answers from your higher selves. It means to remember what it means to get everything we need vertically, just from our own connection to God's source. This allows us to get rid of those compensation patterns where you try to get stuff from the outside, from other people. It doesn't mean you refuse to accept things from other people, but when you go through life trying to get more money, trying to get more love, we call that going horizontal. When you do that, in essence, you are saying over and over to yourself, my Christos self is not real. It is not alive. There's a big shift in the 3D mind that needs to happen to get to the point where you can actually walk through a stargate into a higher dimension. One is realizing this should not be hard because I am from there anyway. Secondly, I better remember how to do this. We got all the technical information, and there are attitudes we need to have. Oh my God, what am I going to do if I get through? Do I remember how to speak Anuhazi? We do not have to worry about that because they can use any language we have. They can translate. If you walk through a stargate, on the other side, you will be greeted. The question is, how will you behave? A lot of people, and the Ani are used to this, freak out. They freak right out from the experience of turning their body into light and then back again. Because that's essentially what happens in ascension. Your body turns to light and then back into a less dense form. They think they died because there is this really weird sound that happens in the ears right before it happens. It's like that white noise static. Then it stops, and there is a pop feeling, and you don't know where you went for a second. It's like your consciousness shut off for a second, and then it pops back on. You find yourself again, and there is a rushing sound in your ears, and everything goes white. And then you sort of fade back into perception. Most people, when they get through that one, they are rolling on the ground in hysterics. And the Yoni are used to like patting them on the shoulder, saying, you had a rough time that time, but you're okay. Once we get through the initial, oh my God, I made it through a stargate. Some people just go down and kiss the ground. And the one thing that the Iani do not want you to do, if you get through a stargate, please do not bow down and kiss their feet. They really hate that. They really do. They feel so bad for people who are programmed into doing that. If you truly feel love for them and you are glad they are there and you are glad you got out, just give them a big hug and say, comrade or friend, I made it. They are not into the subservient thing. They are ascended masters. But they will be the last ones to put that in your face. They want to be your friends. They are your friends. They are your family. They are yourselves in the future time. Patience for the long haul. Healthy personal desires, those that support and advance the Christos evolution of the whole, will be automatically granted in right divine time and order by placing fulfillment of the Christos intention as the only needed priority. Meaning, my relationship with God's source comes first. I sense the restlessness in many of you. I feel it in myself. While we realign ourselves with new tasks, and we begin to understand what role we will take in this brave new world, it might be a bit disconcerting. But I know in every fiber of my being that it will unfold for us all, given time and patience. There are some who have mentioned to me that there is no more work to do, so we just need to find a way to get out of here quickly. I can assure you that is not the case. We still have plenty of work to do. We are very much needed here to assist in anchoring the frequencies of the pillars. These are the pillars of the primal life force currents into the grids, the planetary grids. We are still very much of service. We have been much to teach others in assisting them to clear their templates. We have done much, The times are changing, but the task remains the same one that we've been doing for a few million years. Teach the freedom teachings, clear our distortions of fallen angelic programs, and get as much out of here that can be carted or carried or hosted out. Some things to ponder. When you find yourself getting impatient, tapping your foot, or otherwise feeling rushed, take a divine time out. Breathe and proclaim divine right order in that situation right now. And some LTR statements. I am divine right timing, divine right balance, and divine right order. And something that I realized a long time ago is that divine right timing, divine right balance, and divine right order are the way the universe works. So I can either go with the flow or I can fight it and just create suffering for myself. So if something doesn't happen right now, there's a good reason. And it may take time before you find out what it is. Kelly, if you want to jump in with any comments, I'll pause between these if you have anything you want to add.
Okay, no, I'm just sitting here and enjoying it.
Okay. Kindness. Kindness implies being conscientious and caring towards the needs, feelings, and desires of both the self and others. Be gentle with yourselves. In our society, we are brought up to be hard on ourselves. We are taught to continually compete with others and with ourselves. So the thought that we should have done more or done something better or faster is a continuous thread that runs through everything we do. This attitude spills over into our approach to the techniques, which are a part of these teachings. We wonder whether we are doing enough, and we start to ask others what their daily technique schedules are, and wonder again if we are doing enough, especially if we aren't having the epiphanies that others seem to be having. If someone else is doing more than we are, or are having seemingly wonderful results, we start to question our own ability to progress in our healing. Instead of going at our own pace and trusting and doing what seems and feels right to us, we instead tend to lock ourselves into a cycle of self-judgment. At these times, it is useful to remember the following. You are making more progress than you think. So go easy on yourself and keep doing what you are doing. People who get into the glamour of it and people who actually take their own face off because they are not doing it well enough do not really get any applause from me. One side is understating their ability, and the other is probably overstating their ability, producing essentially a non-Christic effect. For those who do not feel you are seeing or feeling as much as you think you can, just continue to think and believe you can, and know you can, because you will. Each person experiences a technique differently from someone else. Some of you may feel less than because you cannot see something or experience it in the way you overhear other people talking about it afterwards. As far as the effect of the technique is concerned, know that regardless of how you rate your sensory or extrasensory abilities, the effect of the technique is occurring equally amongst all people that are present within this particular shield. A shield is a group of people. There is no difference between individuals in the sense of the shield. Understand that no one gets this more or less than anybody else. Everyone gets it exactly the same, no matter how well or how badly you think you are doing. The effect remains the same. If you are going to heal the hologram, take it back to its core as energy. Be gentle with yourself. Forgive yourself ahead of time. Don't allow yourself to get so angry at yourself that you start judging yourself. Stay in love with yourself. This will help you to remain in a state of vibrational harmonization. And that's what love is. Love is a state of vibrational harmonization. And stay in love with other people too. Realize at times they are having a bad day. We are in a life process, and it doesn't always look perfect. But it is perfect in the process that is going on. Perfection is given. Our challenge is to expand on what perfection for us means. So do yourselves a favor and each other. Be gentle with yourselves. Patience, allowance, tough love for ourselves as well as others, all stirred in with a heaping helping of kindness and gentleness is needed. The road to healing is sometimes a rocky one. I kind of like that one. It reminds me of a banana split. Some things to ponder about patience. Do a random and or anonymous act of kindness today. Find a way to be yourself also. Celebrate yourself. How does performing a random act of kindness help you to learn to be kindness? What would you possibly manifest in your hologram? How would kindness manifest for you? And some linguistic template reprogramming statements. I send love and respect now in honor of the God source that lives in us all. I am a gentle being. Conservation. Think before you spend or expend energy. Money is also a form of energy. So come to trust that the universe is always on time and it always expresses in the divine right manner. The mental body or the mind will go crazy in the coming times. If you can come to trust that the universe is always on time and that it always expresses in the divine right manner, the job of the ego is to recognize what that might look like. To engage or not in the VV or victim-victimizer game. If people are acting crazy because they're looking at life from the perspective that the country is going to be dropping bombs on each other's heads, it can get a bit distressing. Once you start to understand how energy shifts and the fact that it is all eternal, you start to get another perspective. And after a while, it's just funny, especially when you start to catch yourself in VV games. Oh, here we go again. I thought I got rid of you. Shadow, come here. I want to talk to you outside. The shadow self is where these reversed imprints of the shadow self reside. That's a very good way to handle it. Go talk to your shadow self. Shadows are not rational or reasonable at all. That's not what they are about. They are a chaotic pattern of your own consciousness. Shadows are like babies, and one of the best ways to put a frantic infant to sleep so it gets calm again is to sing to it, especially if you sing songs that calm its frequencies down. You don't have to waste energy arguing. All you need to do is sing to your shadow. And believe it or not, this actually works. The Song of Lyra is the ultimate lullaby, one that is very powerful. If you've been activating your Maharic seal on a regular basis, the Song of Lyra will trigger your Maharic seal to activate instantly. The Maharic seal exercise must be done on a regular basis so that your body can get used to the frequencies. Then singing the song, it's not song, it's son, P-S-O-N-N, of Lyra, which is also called the Christos song, will immediately pull up your Maharic pillar. The Maharic pillar is a pillar of D11 and D12. We call it Maharic energy, and it's literally a pillar that forms around you, about 3 feet in diameter. Some things to ponder. Take out a copy of the Song of Lyra and really look at the words and what they mean. Then try singing it to yourself and feel it resonate within your body. Practice singing it like a lullaby. And anybody that wants a copy of the Song of Lyra, just contact me. I can give you the lyrics. I've got them somewhere, and somewhere I have a recording where I can give you the melody. Speak the words of the declaration of the Maharata out loud. And this is also something I can give you if you ask. How did this make you feel? Try stating it every morning and every evening for the next 12 days. I'm going to jump out on a limb here, and I'm going to briefly sing the Song of Lyra so you have an idea of what it sounds like. Maharata Kumbai Vectus Maranayana in evo Kayuniblium by Vectai Maha by Vectai un ore ornam or Iste unte ista tras jahera Patate uma Ashalom thaija intadoe sharai ore akum tan sharai ore akum tan sharai ore akum tan. that's how it goes. Some linguistic template reprogramming statements, and this is directly from both of these, the Song of Lyra and the Declaration of the Maharata. I, as we, the Maharata Kumbhai-Vectis, do now decree through the divine love, wisdom, and power that is mine to express now as this moment the condition of Ma'a Bhaivektai un ure or nam ur. Essentially what that means is that I, as the Maharata Kumbhai-Vectis, is your God self, the God source within. I decree now in this moment, through the divine love, wisdom, and power that is mine, to express now as this moment the condition of Ma'a Bhaivektai un ure or nam ur. That basically we're all part of one and the same. Reciprocity. In terms of natural spiritual law, the dynamic of conservation of original divine intention expresses as the law of reciprocity. The law of reciprocity, or what goes around comes around, or also the golden rule, or AKA you will reap what you sow, is one of the rules within our universe. It applies directly to all that we do and all that we experience. But in our present state of evolution, most of this balancing takes place upon a subconscious level. The law of reciprocity is the dynamic of consequence to chosen action, as the temperance to free will choice. Neither God Source, the cosmic Christos, nor the universal Christos consciousness passes judgment upon individuated manifestations of themselves that choose to embody the opposite expression of God Source will. But the mechanics of physics that God Source created as the mechanics of cosmic order are themselves imbued with the God Source original divine intention of perpetual motion, eternal life expression, and conservation of these attributes of creation. Cosmic order is designed to be a self-sustaining, self-rebalancing system. If, through the excessive misuse of free will choice, the choice of opposite expression of divine intention reaches a point at which it jeopardizes the perpetual motion, eternal life expression, and continued existence of cosmic order, the cosmos itself will restore order and balance through recreation of the divine blueprint, by way of the dynamics of cause and effect energy interrelationships that are inherent to the design of cosmic creation physics mechanics. This implies that there are indeed ordered, intelligent, natural laws of energy and consciousness upon which the cosmos functions in perpetual expression of the divine original intention of the God Source that created them. Manifest creation, meaning physicality, was given the gift of free will expression within the greater context of divine will expression. As the natural laws of energy and consciousness are created as an expression of divine will intention, the free will choice of opposite expression will unavoidably have its consequence within the organic God Source created framework of the natural laws of energy and consciousness. Individual manifest identities can teach themselves some very difficult lessons of love and cooperative co-creation in this regard. One day, you will come to master the experience of three-dimensional reality and will no longer find yourselves trapped within its confines. But until that time, you are dealing with duality, free will, choice, and the responsibility of learning how to direct your choices wisely. Something to ponder. Look for the humor in the situations you find yourself in. Make a real effort to catch yourself playing the VV games. And when you do, use your power of free will choice not to engage any longer. What I used to do is when I would realize that I was actually playing it, I would stop and I would say to myself, okay, the next time a situation like this arises, I will make this choice. I will choose to whatever it is. And it took some time, but it works. It really does. But it takes consistent, concerted effort. And this is one of my favorite subjects, cooperation and diplomacy. Our choices will determine our experience while we are in a polarized system, and thus we learn to make better choices. The rules within our particular system prescribe brotherhood and sisterhood, cooperation and harmony between all portions of reality. But the rules also have designed for us a polarized universe where all things exist within a duality of perception. This feature of our system allows for the experience of free will to take place. In a free will zone, one of the rules or base agreements is that all participants within that reality have the choice to play by the rules or to ignore them, creating their own versions as they go along. Duality allows us the choice of following or working with the natural flow of evolution or against it. Each choice provided us with a consequence of action, or seemingly so from our focus of perception. Each choice will show us a manifest translation of the ideas we entertain. If those ideas move with the flow of evolution, we will experience a perceived state of ease, feelings of lightness and pleasure, and we will expand or grow into even greater reality fields. If we are moving against the flow of evolution, we will experience the opposite of these conditions: tension, heaviness, displeasure, and contraction as we digress into even smaller fields of reality and identity. Both paths exist simultaneously. One implies the other. They exist together as parts of a greater whole that is dimensional reality. It is extremely important what words you choose to interpret the experience. This is where your free will, your freedom of choice comes in. When we talk about assigning a value judgment, making something bad and another thing good, this is where you can use your freedom of choice to bind you into the hologram and let it run over you, or begin your freedom process from the hologram so you can begin to master it. One of the most fundamental aspects of a Christic race is the fact that free will is a sacred right to all of us. No one can know what choice someone else will make. Probabilities can change in a choice or a second or an instant. Predictions are always probabilities, never absolutes. Free will does not mean we have the right to trash the whole universe, though there are some beings that think that is what it means. If they act in ways that continually violate the right to be of other life forms, eventually they find out that through their choices they bring onto themselves what they have given. We do have free will, but it is free will within a co-creative framework. There is not a technique in the Guardian Alliance that will protect you from continually putting yourself in potentially compromising conditions. The Guardian Alliance cannot and will not protect you from non-constructive free will choices. A Christos being never violates the free will choices of another, nor will they interfere with your choices. So best to choose wisely. There are various agendas out there that would love for us to believe that we had no choices or free will. People without choice are very easily manipulated. However, choicelessness or victimization is not a part of the freedom teachings. It is a conscious free will choice that will lead ourselves out of here. That is a basic tenet of the freedom teachings. God's source has a huge tolerance for allowance, because allowance is an honoring of the free will gift that was given in the first place. We wear all the masks, serving different roles at different times. This time we can make a conscious choice of the role we want to create. Let us create it together in a way that is good and does not hurt anyone. Some things to ponder. How do you use your freedom of choice? Are you aware each moment of the choices you make? Where in your life are you making choices that move against the flow of evolution? Where are you making choices that move against the flow of evolution? Whoops, I bent those backwards. Where in your life are you not moving forward? Where are you not making a choice? Do you understand that the act of not making a choice is a choice? And some linguistic template reprogramming statements. I am free now. All the choices I make are life-affirming. I am in harmony with all creation. Free will lessons for the guardian races. Learn to love, but let go. Learn to love, but do not strangle. Do not overprotect. There is really not a reason to be unhappy unless we are perfectionists and say, well, I wanted it to go absolutely perfect. I wanted us to save the whole entire planet and the whole galaxy and nobody falls. And that would be imposing our will on other people's free will choices, because there are beings and collectives that chose the path of fall. And if that is their choice, and that is where they are going, we don't have the right to say they cannot. This is a tough one for some people. So maybe that is a part of the lessons the guardian races were learning. And incidentally, humanity is a guardian race. Learning to love, but let go. Learning to love, but not strangle or overprotect. Because when you are overprotecting, you are infringing upon the natural given free will and spiritual right of another being, no matter how much you may love them. Something to ponder. Ponder the meaning and sense the frequency around the term divine right order. Allow yourself to proclaim divine right order in every situation and relationship you find yourself in. Are you willing to align with your heroic path? Linguistic template reprogramming statements. I am omni-love now. I am divine right order. I am my heroic self now. I am this. I am. Cooperative Evolution. Know yourself, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Know your shadow, transcend its influence, heal it into the light, and you will evolve into a higher level of wholeness, love, peace, joy, and power. In psychological terms, the light can be viewed as the most advanced and higher-minded portions of our consciousness that lead us toward enlightenment. In energetic terms, it stands for the highest frequency parts of our energy identity, portions of our psyche such as the superconscious mind or higher aspects of self such as the soul or oversoul. In terms of our collective psyche, the light represents the people that hold the highest frequency awareness and most expanded consciousness, who serve as a force of evolution toward enlightenment, expression, and empowerment for the masses. In psychological terms, the shadow represents the portion of our consciousness we have judged as undesirable, which we repress or ignore in order to maintain a sense of rightness about ourselves. The part of our ideas and feelings, such as fears, hatreds, feelings of powerlessness, deemed unacceptable, that end up in the subconscious. In energetic terms, the shadow stands for the portions of our energetic consciousness that have a slower oscillation rate and are therefore lower in frequency, which are created by unassimilated beliefs, ideas, emotions, and memories. In terms of our collective psyche, the shadow represents the people who hold the lowest frequency awareness and most constricted consciousness, who serve as a force of devolution toward fear, repression, and disempowerment for the masses. Within both the personal psyche and collective psyche, the polarity between the light and the shadow serves to divide and fragment energies, the shadow becoming a counterforce to the impetus toward forward evolution. True healing comes when the shadow and light are brought together, through which the shadow's chaotic energies can find a higher order and integration into the whole. Without the light, the shadow is lost unto its own chaos and confusion. Without the shadow, the light will always have this counterforce vying for its energies. The healing of both is in unity, through which the personal energies can be harmonized into a productive pattern, and through which the collective energies of a peoples can be brought together under the common objective of cooperative evolution. Transcending the influence of the shadow. In our culture, we have been raised, programmed, to refute the existence of anything that exists beyond the realms of our three-dimensional, five-sense perceptual field. The mainstream populations deny anything on the fringe that they have not been programmed to understand, for acceptance would require taking responsibility for change, which can be frightening. Those outside the mainstream acknowledge the spiritual light found through multidimensional consciousness, but most often they refuse to acknowledge the existence and activities of the shadow, personally and collectively. They instead focus on light and love, but resist any discussion of its opposite, the shadow. This process has its limitations, for if the shadow is resisted, it will continue to influence you. What you resist persists. An anti-Christos paradigm is built upon fear-based perspectives, lower oscillating thought forms. What many people do not realize is that in denying the influence of the shadow, they too are operating out of fear, the precise paradigm they attempt to avoid. The shadow, like gravity, is a force that exists, and like gravity, it affects you whether or not you label, identify, and address it directly. The few beings on Earth able to resist the pull of gravity are those who did not resist it, but rather learned to modulate their consciousness and oscillation rate of the body in order to transcend its influence. If we embrace the shadow within and without, and do not fear its power, we can likewise learn to modulate our consciousness and vibration oscillation of our bodies to transcend the influence of the shadow. And through this transcendence, we are enabled to use our personal power to heal our personal and collective shadows. Vibration is the contraction or holding of energy, and oscillation is the expansion of energy. As long as we deny, resist, and fear the shadow, it will compete with us for our power. But once embraced by the light, the shadow evolves to a higher order, becoming a cooperative force in our joint efforts of co-creative evolution. And, I have to say, these are some of the most profound words I've read in quite a while. They really help with a really good understanding. Some things to ponder. Existence is and always will be a co-creative endeavor. We can learn to agree to disagree, creating win-win situations to progressively evolve to higher levels of expression. Some linguistic template reprogramming statements. I am a master of the spiritual art of cooperation. I create win-win situations. Now we're going to end here for today, and next week we'll pick up here with sense. So, do we have any closing comments?
Can you hear me, Michael?
I can.
Yes. Oh, that was great. I enjoyed that. And we create win-win situations. Good place to end for today.
That's probably one of the biggest reasons why I love working for Nexus and with you guys and everybody that I do, is because we have a very good leader, and what he does is create win-win situations for everybody. And to me, that's truly amazing. It's groundbreaking, and it's very inspiring.
Absolutely. He's a great guy, for sure.
For sure. Okay, well, we're going to end it for today. We'll see you all back here next Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we'll pick up next week with sense. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
Have a great day.